Hello, and welcome to this lesson which will provide you with an understanding of business unit strategy. After you have finished this training, you will be able to, firstly, explain the difference between business unit strategy and corporate strategy. Secondly, explain the 3 basic steps in business unit strategy development. And thirdly, explain best practices for each of the 3 steps of business unit strategy development. To begin with, let's look at the main differences between business unit strategy and corporate strategy. A business unit is a profit center or arm of a larger organization that focuses on a specific product offering and market segment. Business units typically have a separate marketing plan, set of competitors, and management teams, even though they may be part of a larger business entity. For example, consumer goods company Unilever has separate food, beverage, and home care business units. Business unit strategy focuses on understanding the changes in the unit's immediate business environment and achieving competitive advantage via new business models, new customer segments, new products or services, or new capabilities. By contrast, corporate strategy focuses on an organization's entire business unit portfolio, how resources are allocated across the organization, the big industry and consumer trends, and how they can affect an organization's vision and mission. For more information on corporate strategy, please consult the separate Pontema training lesson. There are 3 broad steps to develop an organization's business unit strategy, and the slide shows some of the questions you need to be answering in each step. The first step is to understand the context that the business unit operates in, and this concerns if the industry is growing or not, whether firms are healthy and profitable, and how demand is evolving. The second step relates to competitive advantage and is about understanding how value is being created. And the third step is about charting the optimal path for the business unit, which concerns analyzing the potential strategic paths the unit can take and identifying the best course of action. You will examine each step in more detail as you progress through the lesson. If you are establishing a strategy project on this topic, here is how you could structure a work plan to seek buy-in from the executive leadership team. Each building block addresses the work the team needs to cover during each step, and each block has several critical questions to be answered during the analysis phase, as we saw on the previous slide. In the strategic context step, one of the most important tasks is to define the business environment within which the unit operates. This means reviewing all the internal and external factors that affect how the business unit functions, including the value chain, customers, competitors, supply and demand channels, and business regulations. These factors will influence the development and performance of a business unit. But to take your thinking to the next level, you need to stretch the traditional definitions and consider factors such as new technological disruptions, evolving customer behavior, and the impact of non-traditional competitors. Let's look at an example. In the fast-changing world of US video and TV content, there has been a rush towards online video and streaming. This has been in response to the success of non-traditional players such as Netflix and Amazon Video, but also because of the technological changes that have made it possible to stream high-quality content over the internet, such as high-speed internet access and mobile devices with high-definition screens and prolonged battery life. In addition, the TV industry has seen a change in consumer viewing behavior, which has seen a shift away from traditional live TV broadcast to people storing more content and consuming it in catch-up mode or on demand. All of these factors influence the development of business units in traditional and non-traditional TV broadcasters. When it comes to doing your strategic context review, here are some best practices. Firstly, consider your business unit's starting position and business health, and seek to grow your position where possible. Next, stretch the definition of your business. Overinvest in this step. Do not accept previously accepted definitions as sufficient. After this, determine industry health and profit pools, and understand if anyone is achieving adequate returns. Next, judge your performance over the right time horizon, and ask what a realistic outlook is given your strategic environment. Fifthly, take time to understand consumer behaviors and how consumers are choosing between competitors. And finally, facts and data matter. This is not a conceptual exercise. Understand what is actually happening in the industry and the drivers of change. The second step in business unit strategy development is concerned with competitive advantage. It is very important to understand how value in the industry is created and how it will be created in the future. I define competitive advantage as a set of unique positions and capabilities that allows a business unit to either deliver an offering that exceeds that of the competitors or to deliver the same offering as competitors but at a lower cost. By reducing its cost or increasing user value, or both, a business can generate greater shareholder returns. To be sustainable into the future, a competitive advantage must be based on a tangible difference in cost or price, and be defensible relative to the leading competitor. Competitive advantage can be created by specific positions and capabilities. Positions are valuable assets that a firm owns or can access, such as natural resources, intellectual property, or real estate. Capabilities are institutionalized processes, skills, and knowledge, such as product innovation, a distribution network, or customer understanding. The slide shows examples of competitive advantages. Which ones might apply to your own organization? Here are some examples of how business units have created a sustainable competitive advantage. Netflix entered the online movie rental market when the market was very young, securing a first-mover advantage. Home delivery experts, DPD, pioneered one-hour delivery slots for end customers. And Keurig developed a new product, filtered coffee that could be made from a capsule. When it comes to analyzing your competitive advantages, here are some best practices. Firstly, avoid narrowly defining your competition. Instead, take a wide field of view and question how other competitors are meeting the same consumer needs. Secondly, create competitive advantage by creating customer value in new ways. Focus on user value or at low cost. And thirdly, understand how your business unit fits within the wider organization and how your success is defined. For example, will success be defined by a profit margin increase or a market share increase? And to what extent is the business unit competing for resources against other business units for people resources and operational budget? The third step in business unit strategy development is to take key insights from previous analysis to chart the winning path for the business unit. This process includes considering the business's capabilities to execute a certain path. The frameworks you covered in the Introduction to Strategy lesson can be of use here, such as the McKinsey Directional Policy Matrix or the BCG Growth Share Matrix. When you chart the optimal path, here are some traps to avoid. Firstly, ensure you are looking at an appropriate range of internal and external factors in your business environment. Avoid looking at too few options, but also do not boil the ocean and consider all eventualities, which will not be an efficient use of management's time. Secondly, strike an appropriate balance between exploring new segments and exploiting traditional core segments. Thirdly, ensure the organization can afford the actions it is taking. Check if capital expenditure is available, and ensure a thorough business case has been worked through for each opportunity. Fourthly, ensure that the bets the unit is placing are of an appropriate magnitude to meet expectations in terms of profitability or market share. And finally, is the business unit capable of turning and adapting its approach appropriately to the changing environment? In other words, how quick can it adapt to change? When it comes to charting a winning path, here are some best practices. Firstly, strategy requires choices and determining what you should not do. If you have some current competitive positions that are not part of your long-term strategy, then they should be managed accordingly. For example, divestment or merger with another business unit. Secondly, understand and articulate the reasons why the organization's leadership team should invest in your business unit. Thirdly, consider relevant time horizons in laying out your strategy to take account of corporate expectations, customer needs, and competitor moves. As competitors do not sit still while you execute, it makes business sense to plan for the next generation offering. This is what technology leaders like Apple and Samsung do every week. And fourthly, carefully align your strategic decisions with capabilities. Ensure the strategy can be executed. This is often the hardest part, because even when the strategy is right and it is carried out effectively, a competitor may do a better job. In summary, developing a business unit strategy is a three-step process. Firstly, determine the strategic context, which encompasses defining the business environment, and understanding the evolution of supply and demand. Keep in mind that in many sectors it is becoming increasingly important to go beyond the classic strategic context and investigate other areas such as technology disruption. Also, it is important to rely on data to understand the industry and drivers of change. Secondly, understand competitive advantage, which can be created by specific industry positions and capabilities. Also, analyze competitors to understand their sources of competitive advantage. And thirdly, chart the optimal path, which is the last step in business unit strategy development. Here, options are identified based on analysis done in the first two steps. When charting the optimal path, keep in mind that strategy also determines what not to do. Also make sure the business actually has the capabilities to execute the new strategy. Thank you for participating, and see you next time on another exciting business training lesson from Pontema.